All right, folks, I'm back, and I'm going to send out the notification that I'm back because I know some of you aren't not going to get it. I don't know can I send out a notification here? Stream is good, and you on watch page. I'm going to send out a tweet and say here now. Say here, okay, and thumbs up there. Thank you. It's 3 watching. You're all up back. That's fast. We have, guess what? Red Lobster. Red Lobster is the. Red Lobster is a sponsor. Woo! All right. Training camps, NFL training camps open. Oakland Raiders, Las Vegas Stadium live stream. Welcome. And Jacob, how are you? Hey, Mr. Ortiz, you're nice to see you're back. Hashtag NFL, hashtag Raiders, hashtag Cowboys. Say, what? Cowboys. Hashtag Vegas. Why not? All right, Miss Christensen, how are you? It is wonderful to have you here, and wonderful to have you here. And I will say openly, I want to encourage you, if you know other women football fans, please bring them onto the live stream. I want to have more. In fact, I need to call my friend Melissa Rubin, who's a Ravens fan, and get her back on. We had a great show a few months ago. And Barry's back. Thank you, Barry. Hey, Barry. Tweet out, please. When you tweet this one out, tweet it. This is a little bit of a dicey one. Tweet it NFL. Or if you see NFL training camp. Thank you. Donis, how are you? And fantastic show with Godfather. And Joshua, how are you? And Tanner says, I got the notification for this one, but not the earlier one. That's wild. So let me get this straight, Tanner. You got the notification for the NFL training camps open, this one, right? But not for the other one? Wow, that's interesting. You know what? I wonder if somebody is screwing with the Godfather show by, putting a false flag up. Yeah, that's something else. I've got to follow that up with YouTube, okay? I'll check the restricted mode and see after this is done and see if it's in restricted mode and get it out of there. That's bad. Ruben, you got that one? Hey, Mr. How are you? Interesting. Grizz and Bossman versus Hammer. Marcus Allen tag team match. But Joshua, you didn't get the last one, but you got this one, right? Is that right? Wow. That is something else. That's to be noted, that really bothers me. That really bothers me. And I think someone from, the Vegas people have been screwing with us, okay? I'm not kidding you. This is not some sort of conspiracy theory. This is fact. I really believe that someone is flagging the Godfather show and trying to make sure that, the notifications don't get out there. All right? That's not cool. That is so not cool. All right? That is major not cool. And while it is horribly awful to do, but we have, what does it say? We now know the enemy, right? We know the enemy, and we can now combat the enemy. That's bad. That is just, how many times can I say that it's bad? A lot of times. It is bad. And you would say, why am I saying it's bad so much? Because I'm trying to buy a time for this social media work that I'm doing. I'm putting out that we are here. It's on Reddit under Oakland. NFL training camps open. Oakland Raiders, Las Vegas Stadium live stream. Okay, boom. And I'm saving that. Now, and Raider Oakland says, you've been getting all the Raider notifications? And Barry Lee says, I think they're messing with you, Zenny, because I don't get notifications from you either, not just Grizz. Wow. Yeah, I told Michelle Callan Celier, the YouTube partner representative that's been helping me, that you all have been pointing out that I haven't been getting notifications properly. And Hey Raider Flea, how are you? And Donut says, you're home alone, but you're fine. Huh. Hey, you got the run of the house. Raider Oakland says, I've been getting all the notifications. That's cool. All right. Jacob P says, I got all the other notifications except the one with Grizz. That seems to be the norm. Harry Dunn. Harry, how are you? How are you, Harry? When I see the name Harry Dunn, I always want to say, how are you, Harry? And Jacob P says, same Karen. And if you have a video issue, refresh your screen, and also make sure that your iTunes, if you're on your desktop or even in your iPhone, make sure nothing else is open and that the internet is therefore forced to be dedicated to this page, okay? So, Sean Grogan says, looking for a great poor boy sandwich. Any leads on a place to go? Poor boy. Oh, wow. I have not seen a notification for a great poor boy sandwich in Oakland yet. I'll have to get back to you on that one. Harry Dunn says, smile. And Barry Lee says, what makes me mad is if Zinni had an even bigger following, let's say from Disney, I bet you YouTube would correct the problem like that. Oh, well, it's a little bit of a chicken and egg. They keep trying to curtail my follower development, okay? And why that is, I don't know. But look, YouTube, since we're on the subject, I'll just say this. YouTube favors anybody that is between the age of 14 and 24. I am obviously not that. And they favor shows now. They're trying to be what Blip TV started out as being with shows, rather than, it's not to say they don't embrace the vloggers, but when they do, the vloggers are always, generally, they're white and they're young. And that age discrimination is in your face. It's rampant. There's no congressional legislation to force them to stop it. There should be, because we have laws against age and race discrimination in the workplace. Technically, this is the workplace of the 21st century. Those laws should apply here as well, but there has been no effort to make those laws stick or to adjust them so that they stick to the online environment. That's bad. Now, anyway, I want to talk about the fact that this is NFL training camp. Forget all that. This is not about my issues. This is about the National Football League. You got it? Okay. So, that's it. Now, Brady Fleece says, hey, MacArthur Seminary is a hoagie place that's pretty good. Yeah, there is, actually. And Jacob says, finally got video coverage. Woo! Harry Does says, even though I want the Raiders to fail in Vegas, how can Vegas officials justify building that stadium with that magnitude, that magnitude for UNLV if the deal falls through? That's a great question, Henry. Melvin Lovejoy says, that's true. TV kids these days can't get my daughter off. No, they're hooked to it like glue, like that. Oh, it's amazing, It's amazing. That's why I was trying to say Rick Rice earlier, we got to watch our language, because this is accessible to anyone of any age. And you have to be careful. And so, where's John Marks? He's back. Cool. 831 Scott. How are you? Jonas says, you sent me a Facebook request. Okay, but I'm not on Facebook. So, and I don't want to deal with that right now. Sean Grogan says, is there any reason for the deal to fall through to UNLV? Yes, there is. First of all, and I'll take that question because I believe your question lines up with Henry Dunn's question. It's appropriate to be asked, or answered, excuse me. And, oh, by the way, if any one of you, how many people are on Facebook right now? If you're on Facebook, please take the link to this at the top, okay? Post it in your Facebook page all at once on the count of 10, all right? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, that's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Go, 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 go. Because the reason why I say is because Facebook's level of engagement is at points, depending on the time of the day, better than Twitter's. And so this gets picked up there. And so, and Jacob P says, welcome back home. Thank you. I gotta admit, I miss Georgia. I miss my mom. And I'm going through a lot of thoughts about the future because, again, my mom will be 83 this year. I'm the only child. She's with her step-husband, my stepfather, her husband down there right now. And but I need to really stop thinking about my dreams and really be there for her. And that's just the way things go. So I'm here, but I'm going through a lot of thoughts. I've got some people coming in to take some things out that I need to get rid of. I'm cleaning house, and going to start a new chapter that may involve staying here and may not. But I really I need to pare down, see where I'm at. I need to pare it down, get rid of a lot of stuff, and in the process, things are going to open up. I've got some calls I got to make tomorrow, but that's enough. I want to talk about the NFL and the Las Vegas thing. And I'll answer your questions. I apologize to those of you watching who've been patiently waiting for me to get to the point. Okay, here it is. The way Senate Bill 1 is written is such that if the Raiders' talks do not succeed, and specifically that means, for example, that all of the documents are not done on time, then UNLV has the option of filing a request with the Las Vegas Stadium Authority expressing their desire to establish a campus improvement district, a college stadium authority. So the name switches from the Las Vegas Stadium Authority to this college oriented. That's all written in black and white there. People have to understand that prior to the Raiders and Mark Davis' arrival on the scene, I believe in December 2015, and then of course in 2016 January began the process of looking for a site or sites. All of the studies that were done regarding a new stadium for football in Las Vegas focused on UNLV, including a seminal study that was written and released November 2014 on UNLV that was done by some of the same consultants, Guy Hobbs, that's working with the Las Vegas Stadium Authority now. And in that, they came to the conclusion that an NFL stadium couldn't be easily funded. It wasn't until Sheldon Adelson came along and literally force-fed this political money to get and strong-armed legislators that aren't even there anymore to get this vote for the $750 million. But it comes at a time where Las Vegas really needs the education money. They are concerned that they're going to be able to get it enough from marijuana sales and everything else. All right, so where it could fall apart is that UNLV is in a legal structural position to stall out the Oakland Raiders. That's where they're at. And so as far as a reason to deal, as Sean Grogan asked, if there's a reason for it, well, the reason is this: UNLV right now is in a $4 million athletic department budget, and if they start going through their negotiation with the Raiders and conclude that a stadium deal is only going to put them further in the red, that's enough. Something else too that's been a big concern of a number of UNLV alums is that Colorado State wound up having its stadium funded by, in kind of a booyah bougie process, the state of Colorado. They play in the same conference, and so the idea is, hey, wait a minute, if their government can do that for them, how come our government can't do that for us? And so some of the alums look at the Raiders situation, and then under that layer is the fact that at present UNLV has been treated like a stepchild, and they're thinking, and then one of their potentially biggest benefactor, Sheldon Adelson, is looking at all this and saying, oh my God, I don't like the way this is going. You know how his reaction was to the initial agreements. And so I know there's a group just sitting back and hoping this thing collapses, and basically UNLV is left with that subsidy money that it can use on its own for less because it doesn't need as big a stadium. And remember, they're not tied to using that money at Russell Road. They can use it someplace else. Keep that in mind. So there you go. So now training camp. Barry Lee says, speaking of training camp, I heard the Cowboys already had controversy before the training camp even opened. Yes. And Karen Christensen asks, are you talking about Ezekiel Elliott? Yes. Well, also that lucky guy, wide receiver. Now, I'll get to that in a second. John Mark says, I will be getting Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and any other social media this year. How about tomorrow? Jacob P. says, if all the documents aren't complete, how can the Raiders plan to break ground so soon? Sorry, I forgot the date. It's November. Well, easily. First of all, that's November. They're supposed to finish the documents by October 17th. Okay? Remember, a groundbreaking can and has been done before, and yet, in a number of instances, nothing was ever built after the groundbreaking. I'll give you an example. The Warriors had a party in 2012 that the media mistook for a groundbreaking, and it kind of looked like one when they were at Pier 32, and the Warriors really jumped the gun. They had no business going all out. I was there. I interviewed Joe Lacob. I interviewed Peter Guber. Great guys. But the media treated it, and it did look like a groundbreaking. It wasn't. Because the Warriors all of a sudden found themselves in the middle of a huge court battle with the Mission Bay Alliance, okay? So, bottom line, just because you have a groundbreaking or something that looks like it doesn't mean something's going to get built. And it does mean that something will be delayed. In the Warriors' case, it was delayed by about 3 years. So, there you go. Now, we've got Jacob P. says it's November and the Raiders are supposed to break ground, right? And Jacob P. says, thanks, John. John Marks says, you're welcome. Jacob P. LX9933, hello. Says, I'm all for the team staying in Oakland, but UNLV will delay the NFL to Las Vegas. Sounds unlikely. UNLV has been relevant since the 90s. Can they really stop the NFL? That's interesting. It's not a matter of stopping the NFL. You know, it's a matter of, look, there are some competing interests here. And you have this is how it shapes out, because it's not a perfect world. And the one thing that I don't like in discussing this is a statement of consistent absolutes like, oh, it'll happen. Why? I don't know it'll happen. Like, and the people expressing this idea have more faith in the process than they do God. Heck, some of them might be even atheists. I'm not an atheist. My point is this. Don't trust people. Get in love with the process of planning. Let me be more specific about what I'm talking about here. You've got UNLV that cannot afford to build their own stadium, yet they've got $750 million that arguably they can say is theirs. Okay, as much as it is the Raiders, because of the way it was gotten and the way Sheldon Adelson was pushed out, or essentially was treated by the Raiders and was basically being pushed out. Okay, that's still on the table, folks. Let's not forget that. That has not evaporated. That is still there. Until we have concrete evidence that Mr. Adelson is completely involved, and we don't have that, and other people still contend that he's not. Okay, even though we've had leaks that people are talking around town that he's involved. You know what? When someone goes on the record and is ready to say on the record who matters that he's involved, until that happens, he's not involved. So there you go. I know I said something differently, but I said it was okay to ask. I said it's okay to put out the rumor to see if someone shoots the rumor down, right? Because it's talk out there. But again, you want to hear somebody go on the record about the talk who's involved in the planning, okay? So now, Day 31 Scott says, any more news on the FAA and the stadium being so close to the airport? No, I'm actually digging for that information as I speak to you. Patrick in Blackman asks, I hope Gareon Conley isn't a training camp distraction. How is he doing in practice? He's not in practice. He's not signed. And that's a big problem, because the early talk regarding a situation with that case was that it would be resolved by now. It is not resolved. And as a person who is a huge advocate for the Raiders, drafting Cam Robinson, the offensive tackle out of Alabama, who became the Jacksonville Jaguars' high second-round pick. Cam Robinson is a high first-round pick, because it came back in the first round and got him. Cam Robinson is the person that the Raiders should have taken at 24. I still think it was a mistake to do so. If you have someone with Gareon Conley and you have that red flag coming up, you do not take the risk of not being able to sign him, let alone retain him, and yet that is where the Raiders are right now. So, that's a bad situation. I told Raiders general manager Reggie McKenzie at the NFL annual meeting, I didn't tell him, like, you do this. I said, hey, Reggie McKenzie. I said, hey, Mr. McKenzie, Cam Robinson's the guy for the Raiders. Cam Robinson's the guy for the Raiders. He goes, okay. I'm telling you, that will go down as an enormous draft mistake for the Raiders. I'm telling you right now. Now, and so Barry Lee says, going back to the matter of, Barry Lee says, LX993, yes, UNLV can, because the state of Nevada passed the bill for the express purpose to help UNLV get a new stadium, and the Raiders are second in the deal. Barry is correct. Patrick M. Blackman says Conley situation. Got it? I believe I answered that question. Aaron Blaylock says UNLV ain't no powerhouse. Fresno is more relevant than they are. It's not quite. Whoa. The law says the UNLV is a powerhouse. You may have some issue with how UNLV was regarded in your mind, but read Senate Bill 1. Every single word. Okay? Read it. Go particularly section. Section 29 is a different part of it. That's the transportation issue. But the issues about UNLV, read them. In the university, read them, okay? So, the 411 says, I bet, is that like 7-Eleven? Says, I bet Adelson is behind UNLV lawyer's decision. I don't see the connection there. Henry Flores, because I don't see that connection there, but you mean in terms of paying for him? That could be. That could be. I won't dismiss that idea. Henry Flores says the Raiders should sign Conley with a provisional voided contract if he is charged. I believe he has something like that. Harry Dunn, in fact, he does. Harry Dunn says Conley was a top 10 talent without the rape allegation. Yes, he was a top 10 talent. But, see, in my mind, if you have something like that and it's unresolved and it could keep you out, then, I mean, me personally, I would simply, the Raiders are taking a huge bet. If Cam Robinson is sitting there and the NFL places a premium on pass rushers and you need an offensive tackle to block those pass rushers, I just cut my losses and say, I'm going for Cam Robinson because I saw Cam Robinson ragdoll Myles Jarrett, okay? So that's why I'm saying that. So, Cam Robinson, talents like that don't just come every day. I'm just pointing that out to you. As high as Conley was ranked, my point is that Robinson, in terms of need, considering what happened with Donald Penn, perfect situation for him with the Raiders. Not filled. Now, Joshua Stevens, how are you? Barry Lee says, welcome, Stevens. Patrick M. Blackman says, Zinni, can't a letter of the law be trumped? I don't understand what you mean by that. Mr. Blackman, do you mean ignored? Rick Rice says, hey, Zinni. In fact, answer that question because I have an answer for you. Hey, Rick Rice says, hey, Zinni, do you think UNLV might make things difficult on purpose? They're going to get something out of the deal regardless. Yeah, Rick Rice, that is the question of the day, and you're absolutely correct. And I believe that is one possible outcome of hiring this attorney is that, just that. They're going to make it a little bit harder. They're going to let their New York attorney do their dirty work for them. Say the raw, just basically get in there and make sure that the client is properly treated, okay? That's the muscle. So, Karen Christian says video doesn't... Hey, Karen, again, if you have something open in your computer, iTunes, if you have a Mac or something like that, close all windows or just restart your computer. Because it's generally a RAM issue, okay? So, random access memory. So, Now, Jacob P says, I see your point on Cam Robinson, but Zinni, I feel the Raiders need defense way more. I don't think the Raiders' issues defensively are with personnel. I still contend that they are scheme-oriented, not personnel-oriented. We talk about the Raiders and their defense every single year. At some point, when are we going to realize, hey, it's scheme and not personnel? Okay? We've gone through this year after year after year. I'm tired of it. Scheme is the issue. So, and then Harry Dunn says the Raiders signed Marshall Newhouse to right tackle. Very good at right tackle. They have Penn at left tackle. They need secondary help bad. I do not agree that their additions at offensive line are better than Cam Robinson, considering the number of top line defenders, pass rushers that are coming in. Like not just Myles Jarrett, but Solomon from the Stanford, and the gentleman that was drafted by the Ravens from Tennessee. Or how about Terrence McKinley with the Atlanta Falcons, okay? Who is going to start the 4th preseason game. I'm just ticking it off, 3, 4 new defensive ends that are going to give offensive tackles fits, and you're telling me that the Raiders are okay where they sit? I completely disagree. You fight fire with fire, period. Cam Robinson, and look, I said this before the Conley matter came up, didn't I? I kept tooting Cam Robinson's horn, and I still am. So you watch how he does with the Jaguars, okay? So yeah, where is King Jose? Now, let's see here. I mean, I see what you're saying, Harry, but I don't agree. Barry Lee says, Karen, for me, okay. Anyway, Patrick and Blackman says, you were talking about UNLV being relevant because the law says so. Right, the new law, SB1 has made them very relevant. It's made them the boss, period. Joshua Stevens says, thank you, Barry. 831 Scott says, off topic, but I'm wondering where King Jose thinks about Kyrie Irving wanting to be traded out of Cleveland. That's a great question. That's a fantastic question. Karen Christian says it works. Oh, use an iPhone. Okay. Yeah, so you have to turn your iPhone on and off. Barry Lee says, 831 Scott, you read my mind. I was just about to ask if anyone heard from King Jose. King Jose, where are you? King Jose is probably deep in the hunt for Michigan State basketball position. Aaron Blaylock says, Mark Davis still jazzed about the move? Russ Rivera says, support We Stand with Oakland. John Marks says, I hope not. Aaron Blaylock. 831 Scott says, yep, Barry Lee is probably hiding under a rock. Laugh out loud. Russ Rivera says, keyword acting. Ha ha. John Marks. John Marks says, forever Oakland and we stand with Oakland. Harry Dunn says, the Raiders had a top 2 offensive line last year. That was their strength, and we continue to be their strength. Well, no. I disagree with that. My point is that, Donald Penn is 34, right? We're talking about the left tackle. You don't design NFL personnel that way. Well, we were good last year, and so therefore we're going to be good this year. The sad fact of the matter is it's a business of constant replacement. In fact, if Bill Walsh were in charge of the Raiders, either as GM or coach or both, Donald Penn would be on the block right now because he's considered old, okay? So, no. In fact, if Bill Walsh were alive, Bill Walsh would agree with what I'm saying. You get up Cam Robinson, you force him to compete with Donald Penn for the left tackle position. So we don't need somebody missing a block and getting our quarterback injured. All right? Cam Robinson is that guy that will save the Raiders' blind side. So we got Patrick and Blackman says, so do you have faith in our cornerbacks? Again, you guys are sticking on personnel. I don't hear anybody talking anything about, hey, are we going to use a 4-2-5? Are we going to use a double A gap blitz? Are we going to not use a double A gap blitz against double tight end? Scheme, damn it! Scheme! It's always personnel! Come on! Think with me here. It's too easy to point to a person you see on TV and say, oh, It's a little, look, it's fun to talk football strategy. I mean, it may be a little harder, but come on, guys, use your gals, everybody, use your heads. You got them. You're smart people. You can do this with me. All right. It's always, do you have faith in our cornerbacks? This is what bothers me. Okay. You can have the same defensive personnel, right? And 1 year, everybody says, they're terrible. But then next year you turn around, you put them in a 46. And all of a sudden, because the coach figured out that the 46 was right for their personnel, you have the 2000 Baltimore Ravens, which were about to become that in 1999, when Marvin Lewis was allowed to install his version of the 46 and the many schemes that he came up with when he was the Ravens defensive coordinator. Scheme and coaching matter. I'm tired of this we need stuff in terms of personnel. It bothers me. I mean, for example, okay, so, and Harry Dunn says, every scheme is perfect unless you have the proper personnel. And no, every scheme isn't perfect. It isn't. And I'll explain to you why I say that in a second, okay? John Mark says, Raiders Super Bowl team used 3-4 defensive scheme. What year? What year? Not the early Super Bowl team, okay? Not against the Green Bay. We weren't using Super Bowl. We weren't using the 3-4 then. We used it in the 70s. Okay, so when, and again, what kind? Okay, and then how did it evolve? All right. So, and I say that for a specific purpose. All right. Now, and let's see here. Zinni, you're gonna roll a gasket. Relax, brother. No, I'm really exercised about this, man. Because everybody just wants to throw around, personnel, it's too easy. It's like, I could use a chocolate shake about now. But anyway, it's like, drinking a chocolate shake, okay? I love chocolate shakes. I love double chocolate. Oh, I miss just double chocolate. Okay. Anyway, Jacob Pisa, so should we get rid of our defensive coordinator because the scheme isn't working? The scheme doesn't come from him. It comes from his boss. It comes from Del Rio. Del Rio has to decide to make the change. Ken Norton is not given the leeway yet, as far as I understand it, to just come up with a scheme on his own without the blessing of the coach. Now, and I've said this before, if Del Rio turns around and says, hey, you do what you want to do, different story, okay? I'm not saying that Ken Norton is a puppet. I'm simply saying that Ken Norton Jr. and Jack Del Rio both went to SC. They both understand the Seahawks style of defense, which is also SC, Pete Carroll, all right? And therefore, you have that style that they're trying to install. I happen to disagree with that style with respect to what the Raiders have in terms of their personnel and with respect to where the NFL is going in terms of offensive line and physical design of those offensive linemen who are over 300 pounds and yet can still run like the wind. So, now, Patrick and Blackman says, but Ken Norton Jr. was trying to see a Seahawks style of defense, which is USC. Now, Barry Lee says, John Marks, for me personally, I prefer the 3-4. Yeah, it's not the 3-4, I'll get to what I mean by that. It's not 3-4-4-3 for me, I'll explain what I mean. Rivera says, Jake, that's why they brought in Pagano. Norton is on the bubble. John Marks says, 1983. Rick 209 says, Sean Smith was getting smoked last season. Yes, but there's a reason for that. And it's not his fault. Patrick and Blackman says even in 83. Blackman says that John Marks. John Marks says Raiders need a 3-4 in all Super Bowl championship teams. Barry Lee says have a good night. It's 1:30 here. Get time for sleep. Hey, Barry Strong. Barry Strong. You got it. Say hashtag Barry Strong. Thank you, Barry, for all that you do. Barry Lee. Barry Strong. Barry Strong. I'm typing hashtag Barry Strong here. Barry Strong. Got it. Now, Charlie Sumner was the defensive coordinator in 76, 80, and 83. That's right. 831 Scott, Rivera says they played 3-4 when Mack was playing offensive line, outside linebacker. Folks, when we talk about 3-4 and 4-3, the one thing is actually the Raiders didn't exactly play a 3-4. They played a 4-3, but it was an Oklahoma defense. Now, what I mean by that was Oklahoma front. In other words, you have, and I love this system, because you have Okay, this is don't quite have that sheet of paper. Screw it. Okay, you got the center here, guard, tackle, offensive line. All right, end here, tackle here, middle linebacker. Right, that's your 4-3, sort of wide tackle 6. But in an Oklahoma look, they take in this case, what might be with left defensive tackle and move him over to where he's over the center, okay, and then they move the defensive tackle and make him become the end, and the end becomes the outside linebacker, okay. So it looks like, you have to be careful when you look at that, because I looked at a bunch of tape. It looks like a 3-4, but it's actually a 4-3. And then it gets more complicated when you take that defensive end like Khalil Mack, you start buzzing him. So now you got a 4-3 that you just turned into a 3-4. Got it? So, which is, I mean, and that's the trend toward defenses that are wild. And the trend was really started by Fritz Schmermer when he was with the LA Rams 20-something years ago. Rest in peace, he passed away. He created a 2-down lineman. That's right. A 2-down lineman. 2-down linemen. At one point, they had 2-down linemen and 9 defensive backs. Okay? And then they had 2-down linemen and 6 linebackers and 3 defensive backs. They had different variations. But now the NFL is into this, they call it the hybrid defensive era. That's where this is. They want players that are tweeners. They can play, he can be a linebacker, or he can be end, or he can be a defensive tackle, or he can be a defensive end, or he can be, you get the idea? That's what we're getting at. And so you're getting a lot of wild formations from that, which is fun to watch. Okay, so now let's see here. We've got Blackman says, with Carr's new contract, Cam Robinson would have been good car insurance. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Jacob P says, Jacob P is not feeling Jack Del Rio as our head coach. 831 Scott says, I agree, Jacob, but you're still on him if the defensive scheme fails. Yes. Harry Dunn says, but the Raiders had to improve their secondary anyways. You brought up age. Sean Smith is 31 and Reggie Nelson is 34, so it was a good strategy in the draft to improve the secondary. But my point is that look, this year's draft was so rich with defenders. You could go down and get a quality defensive back. You didn't need to get one that high. You could get a Cam Robinson. You didn't have Cam Robinson types all over the draft. Get them out of the way up top early, then get your DBs later. That's what a number of people have done. Look at the 49ers. They let the fellow from Michigan drop, came back and got him. Julius Peppers. They let him drop. Peppers drop. Then it came back in the first round and got him. Stuff like that. So there are a number of people, a number of defensive backs, not flying off the top of my head, who fell into the second round the Raiders could have gotten that were first round material. So no, the more I talk about this again, the more I disagree with the move. I just do. If Conley had no issues and he's sitting up there high, yeah, you go up and you get him, okay? But if he's got that issue and you're not even sure if he's going to even see the playing field, back off. When you got somebody else you can go to that will fit your more direct need much better. I completely disagree with. And it's in the middle of a draft that's DB rich. DB rich. And you guys are talking about getting him way up high. You don't need to. Okay. Fun stuff here, isn't it? Now, we've got 831 Scott likes Del Rio. Any news on Aldous Smith? Haven't checked yet. Laugh out loud, Rand. Come on. No, I'm serious, man. I'm serious. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe you're not talking about me. But anyway, Jacob P says, I think Aldous Smith is a goner. Raider Oakland says, exactly. Hide your real coverage. Rick 209 says, these Silicon Valley companies should build the Raiders in Apple Stadium in Oakland. Rick Rice says, Jabril Peppers. Thank you. I got so pissed off. I was like, ugh, you know. See, so Rick Rivera says, Rick Investors all ready to go. Raiders just have to come to the table. LX9933 says Drew Peppers. Karen Christensen says, how can the Raiders have any stability and work out the problems if we are always changing coaches? And I'm not saying we need to change coaches. I'm saying we need to change schemes. So 831 Scott says they should hire Charles Woodson as a DB coach, number 24. Harry Dunn says Reggie McKenzie said he did miles of research with Conley. I know. To make sure he was innocent. Yeah, well, doing miles of research is one thing. But you don't know what happened in that room. You don't know who's lying to you. A lot of money on the line. So miles of research is one thing. But that's only to hedge your bet. It doesn't change the situation. And it doesn't change the potential bad outcome. It just doesn't. Sorry, it doesn't. This is not at all like the situation that Jameis Winston was in, which is clearly, first of all, happened way before he was drafted, and second, was a case of a young freshman who had the unfortunate habit of getting a lot imbibed and forgetting what she did after she got imbibed. And Jameis' mistake was he didn't call her and say, hey, look, how you doing? Let's check in. He didn't do the mature thing. He didn't call her next day, act like he didn't know her. And that set her off like, hey, man, he did something wrong. That's where things went wrong. This, with that Conley situation, is light years different. So we have Rivera says already have Wide Woodson, Hall of Famer. Jacob P says I don't think Mark will ever come to Oakland table unless he sells the team. Patrick and Blackman says I can see us making a trade for a cornerback during the season. Rivera says Jacob, he may not have a choice. I think Rivera's right. Russ, I think you're right. Tanner Adams says I totally agree with your premise that he maybe not Cam specifically, but anyone else that doesn't have a rape case pending. No, Cam Robinson. I'm telling you, he is a plug and play. Cam Robinson is a 6 to 10 year offensive tackle. He's the kind of person that you stick in there and you, boom, leave him alone. That's the kind of player Cam Robinson is going to be. Watch. I'm telling you, watch, okay? I'm just telling you. He's going to be one of the great NFL tackles. I'm telling you that absolutely, unequivocally, without stuttering. Cam Robinson is going to be one of the great tackles in NFL history, period. Mark it. Boom. Right here. Mark it. Okay? So, and not only that, he's got Tom Coughlin, of all people, as his coach, who loves run blocking, who's a great caretaker of great offensive linemen. Watch. Oh my God, it's an outstanding situation for him. Bad for us. But I'm saying, okay? So, 831 Scott says Charles was a real Raider, though Rod was a Steeler. Responding to Russ's comment, Raider Oakland says the Raiders are all about the rush. Blitz and disrupt the quarterback. The rest of the defense is suspect. Jacob P says Mark doesn't have a choice about what. He will sell the team, you think? Harry Dunn says if they don't address the secondary, they should draft another defensive end alongside Mack. And, I thought that was an interesting idea. If you were going to play more of a, it all depends on what kind of scheme you're going to play. If you're going to do that, are you going to play 46? Are you going to play, are you going to play something like the Arizona style of flex defense, which I'm not a fan of, which reminds me of something, okay? And I'll get to that. Some of you are talking about 3-4-4-3. The only issue I have, and I used to be a big 3-4 fan, right? But it's the bubble area. What do I mean by that? I mean that area that is shaped like a bubble, that is where the inside linebackers are and the guards, and it creates that natural hole that running backs can run in through. If you don't move either one or both of your ends inside, you got a problem there, okay? I prefer something that's more of a pinch. You have the defensive ends inside between the guards and the tackles, and you have the nose tackle taking one area and the other, and you have a linebacker stacked on that side, and then you have either you have a strong linebacker or a weak linebacker. You can actually call it. Say, the middle linebacker says, okay, strong, so you move over this side. Weak, you move over to that side, right? Make the shift. That will clear up that bubble area problem. But the issue with why the 3-4 fell out of vogue for a while with a lot of teams except the Patriots, which had Vince Wilfork and knew how to work their ends. Watch the Patriots and how they play their defensive ends in their 3-4. It's not really a true 3-4. Okay, they do a lot to cover up the 3-4's natural structural weakness, because if they don't, what'll happen to them is what happened to them a few years ago, I think in 2010, when they were blown out of the stadium by the New Orleans Saints on Monday Night Football. It was glorious. I wrote about it in my column on SF Gate, the website of the San Francisco Chronicle, a clinical dismantlement of the 3-4 defense of the Patriots. It was beautiful. So all you 3-4 fans out there, forget it, okay? Because in the modern era of the fast, big offensive linemen, those bubble areas can be exploited by those guards. And that's what's happened all too often. The Patriots after that adjusted. They were embarrassed. And rightly so. They showed no respect for the Saints by playing pure 3-4 that night. They got their hat handed to them, and I loved every minute of it. I thought it was great. Excuse me. Okay, now, yeah, watch him. Now, let's see here. We've got Patrick Amberley says, I would be watching Cam Robinson. Raider Oakland says, maybe the coverage is oriented toward those strengths as they should. Ruben Ortiz says, I like the pinch defense. Yes. 831 Scott says, keep it in the family that this is a Raider tradition. Seawood would be in the hall. I would love to see him on the sidelines coaching for the Raiders. I would too. Rick 209 says, we didn't end up signing Riley Jr. I have to check that. I don't want to say something that's incorrect. Harry Dunn, if anyone knows, please chime in. Harry Dunn says, let's make a bet, Zinni. I say Conley will make the Pro Bowl before Cam Robinson. That bet is on. You got it. I'll take that bet. Harry. You got it. I'll take that bet, Harry. You got it. Patrick M. Blackman says, the Saints of the 80s were great. But when the playoffs came, the 3-4 defense, despite their great linebacker core, got beat up by the opponent's offensive line. Russ Rivera says he's got a ring with Green Bay. Started as a Raider, finished as a Raider. He had cheese in the middle. Russ Rivera with a stylish comment. Jacob P says, talk all new news you have about the TV or Las Vegas situation. Oh, we were talking about new news. Well, the new news is that whole issue about the law thing. I'm working on some more new news soon. I don't want to give you a tip as to what it's going to be. Harry Dunn says, $100 on the bet, no money. No money, because I don't want to wait for you. No. We're going to do a straight up gentleman's bet, okay? Period. That's it. No money at all. And here's the reason why I say that, because I had a bet earlier this year with I forgot this guy's name, and because he was running around saying, I'll bet anybody, I say, I'll take your bet, okay? But then when I thought it was over, and I was playfully kind of saying, hey, right? He took what he thought was my personal information, was putting it around on Twitter, and I, at that point, said, I'm not going to deal with you. You're not going to get anything from me at all, period, okay? So, I mean, it was not the right thing to do. It just simply wasn't. And so on that basis, I believe that if we just do straight 1-to-1, then you don't have to worry about all that. You don't have to worry about the money component or anything else. So let's just do it that way, okay? If I'm right, you'll know. And and if you're right, this is kind of easy because it's a Pro Bowl, right? It's not a matter of, well, gee, the Raiders, they are not in Vegas, right? They're not in Vegas, so things could go wrong. It's not so iffy. You're either in the Pro Bowl or you're not, period. Well, okay, there could be the alternative in, the injury situation. I stand corrected. But by and large, it's an easier bet, okay? So there you go. Now, so there you go, okay? Now, in fact, since we're talking about Cam Robinson, I just want to say, oh, by the way, I want to encourage everybody to invest in Zenny 62 and keep the fires burning, folks. Okay, your shares are noted every time there's an investment. Everybody gets their shares, and you got to admit, you got a lot of great things going here. Let's keep it going, right? So much appreciated. Now, speaking of which, not which, I mean in terms of investments. I mean in terms of something else. I just have to check this out. This is on my mind now that you've got me going. And let's see here. Latest news. Jacksonville Jaguars should give Cam Robinson a real shot at left tackle. This is the Black and Teal blog. And this is as of July 21st. And it says the Jacksonville Jaguars added 2 left tackles this season, and starting the rookie Cam Robinson over the veteran Brandon Albert might be the right move. Ooh! So, hey, the Pro Bowl thing's looking a lot more possible if that happens, right? This is only 3 days ago that Daniel Lago, Fansided, wrote this, and he writes, after selecting Cam Robinson in the second round of the 2017 NFL Draft, questions arose about what the Jacksonville Jaguars were planning to do at left tackle. Given the trade for Brandon Albert earlier in the offseason, most expected the Jaguars to target a guard early in the draft. Instead, the Jaguars took arguably the best tackle prospect over the consensus top guard Forrest Lamp. Did you hear that? I'm not the only one that's been singing Cam Robinson's praises. Cam Robinson at one point was going to be the number 1 pick until that whole marijuana thing came up. Anyway, the bottom line is, with Albert holding out, this is Lago writing, it was reasonable to ask whether or not the Jaguars were planning to start Robinson at left tackle and leave Albert flailing in the wind. Now Albert is back into the fold and likely starting at left tackle. But should he? Gary Davenport over at Bleacher Report discussed one move that each team should make before the start of the regular season. For the Jaguars, he thinks they need to start a rookie at left tackle. Okay, so my point is everyone agrees already that Cam Robinson is the best tackle to come out of 2017 NFL Draft, and we passed on him. I mean, how much does that hurt? The guy that should have been a Raider, they're singing his praises already as the one that should start over an established veteran for the Jaguars. I mean, come on. Still like your bet? So, just saying. Still like your bet? Just saying, all right? Just saying. Now, they said they never signed Perry Riley. 831 Scott says, I think Al wanted to keep Charles. I don't think he left because he wanted to. Coaching decision. Rivera says, can't agree. 831 Scott says, Russ. 831 Scott says they didn't want to pay him. Harry Dunn says, Brandon Albert, laugh out loud. Don Penn is a lot better than Albert. Not saying much, Zenny, but we'll see. Hey, you know what? Donald Penn is not better than Cam Robinson. So, Rick Rice says, Riley wanted a long-term deal. I wouldn't have signed him either. Rick Rice says he'll come crawling back before the season. And Rule MP says, we're used to should have been Raiders. Laugh out loud. Hey, sorry, okay? Look, you want me to dig up some more Cam Robinson superlatives? All right? In fact, speaking of which, you say that? Let me find something here. I'm just curious, since I love debates like this, all right? And it's amazing how we're talking about personnel, but I will say one thing, okay? Cam Robinson is a lot better at by himself without help anchoring that left tackle than Penn, all right? And, in fact, let me see something. I am typing the, and so, yeah. Mercury News, April 20th, 2017. Should Raiders add a starting left tackle of the future? And then another one, Oakland Raiders, make a case for Cam Robinson 24th overall. That was Just Blog Baby. 2017 Raiders draft, 3 offensive players to avoid, and Cam Robinson was not one of them. And Donald Print on Twitter, Raider draft rumors, Oakland targeting Cam Robinson. So, ideal first round for Raiders. I mean, everybody had the Raiders taking Cam Robinson. All right? I mean, everybody. It just kills me. It just kills me. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, man. John Marks says, I would have taken Cam Robinson in the draft. Rick Rice says, hey, Zinni, I'll bet you Don Pillman scores more touchdowns than your boy. How? You mean, when you say scores more touchdowns, do you mean catching them? Or do you mean causing the defense to score a touchdown? Just saying, all right? Because Rick Rice, you are aware that we're talking about offensive tackles, right? We're not talking about running backs. So, Jordan Yancey says Penn is better. Rivera says Penn allowed 1 sack all season. Hey, you know what? I'm sorry. Cam Robinson is the man. He handled Myles Jarrett, period. Among others in the SEC. Jacob P says, good debate, brought Zinni. Good night, and we'll see you tomorrow. You got it. See ya. Stay in Oakland says, hey, Zinni, how you doing? Welcome. How you doing? And 831 Scott says, hey, don't forget, invest. Invest. Don't just debate. Invest. I don't care if it's $2, $20, $200, $2,000. This is what I do. Please keep it going. If you like great debate. Hey, so that's scheme-oriented. Where are you going to find that? Anywhere else? Not the radio. Sorry. So 831 Scott says, they should have kept Veldner. He was an amazing old lineman and young. They let him go to Arizona. Yeah. I mean, the youth went... Harry Dunn says, but we can't afford a future luxury pick at this time, Zinni. That's not a luxury pick. That is way not a luxury pick. We need someone to step in and contribute right away, and Robinson would have waited on the bench for 2 years until Penn retires. No. Cam Robinson would have beat Donald Penn for the starting job. I'm telling you that right now. Cam Robinson would have beat Donald Penn for the starting job. You hear what I'm saying? Cam Robinson would have beat Donald Penn for the starting job. Mark it, okay? No. So, Rivera says they have a big man package where Penn scores more touchdowns. Well, fine, but to say that they can't use that with Cam Robinson is ridiculous. I mean, come on, folks. I mean, give me a break. Citron says Penn has scored TDs. So what? So what? Rivera says Vid here didn't want to be a Raider. Rick Rice says, yeah, I'm aware. Scoring TDs by rushing or catching, I'll bet you. That's as ridiculous. That is a stupid bet. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be insulting personally. That just is ridiculous. Because that's like saying that... I mean, think about the logic of your statement. You're saying that if the Raiders brought in Cam Robinson, they wouldn't throw to him? Come on. Okay? Oh, come on. Oh, no. 831 Scott says, I never heard of Vilter didn't want to be a Raider. Oh. No, you guys. Man, oh, man. You guys are killing me here. You guys are killing me here. You all guys are killing me here. All right. So, killing me here. I'm just checking something here, just for a reference. 34 years old, man. You're gonna tell me that. And so, we've got games, sacks allowed. Oh, by the way, just informing you that in 2015, Donald Penn allowed 8 sacks, and in 2016, he allowed not 1, but 2. Russ, you said he had 1. He had 2. I just checked, okay? Just saying there, all right? Just saying there, okay? Just saying there, okay? Just want to, letting you know, okay? And now, by contrast, according to, remember, SEC players are as good as NFL players. Many NFL players come from the SEC. You are aware of that, right? I'm just saying. You are aware of that, right? This man is the anchor. He started every game at left tackle during his time in Tuscaloosa. 43 games. He is one of their 3 unanimous All-America selections. First team honors from Sports Illustrated. Outland Trophy winner. He claimed the SEC Jacobs Blocking Trophy. First team All-SEC. 12th nationally. Second in the league in rushing offense was the Crimson Tide. He, my God, had a team-high 37 knockdown blocks in 15 games. Jeez Louise. I mean, I knew he was good just watching, but I didn't know he was this good, all right? He blocked for 11 100-yard rushing games. I mean, he did not, okay. Against Western Kentucky, started to provide the time for Jalen Hurts. Did not allow a sack or a hurting grade on 80% with a team-high 3 knockdown blocks. No a sack. He didn't allow a sack. He allowed, nope. Tennessee had one. He allowed 1 sack against Tennessee. Did not allow a sack or a hurry against A&M. Did you hear that? He did not allow a sack or a hurry and did not commit a penalty against Myles Jarrett, the best defensive end in football, college football, playing for Texas A&M. It's right here in black and white. All right, this is stuff I've already read. I just wanted to read to you before. Again, okay? No. Donald Penn would have been backing up Cam Robinson. Period. End of story. Oh, my Lord. No. Okay. Hey, 31 Scott says, how many holding penalties was Penn called for? I'll check. Ray Oakland says, you're not wrong, but the need is the defensive backfield. Draft in the lower rounds. My point is that Oakland Raiders have gotten by with a scheme that makes absolutely no sense for their division and personnel. Just basically, carbon copying the Seahawks defense without asking why, to me, is ridiculous. Go in another direction. So, Rick Rice says, if you believed in Cam so much, you'd take the bet. Oh, I did take the bet. Sorry. Now, if you want to bet money against him, why don't you do it, okay? Rick. So anyway, Harry Dunn says, this year the Raiders are going UNLV contributors at every position, not players who are going to wait. Okay. Yeah, right. Which is why they should have taken Cam Robinson, because Cam Robinson would start. Okay. So anyway, sadly, one resulted in the breaking of an ankle. There were 2 sacks he gave up. Not 1, but 2, okay? 2. 831 Scott says, how many holding penalties was, okay. Oakland says, stuff happens. John Mark says, didn't John Penn allow a sack that broke Derek Carr's leg in 2016? Yes. Rick Rice says, whatever. Rule MP says, when one was on Derek Carr, technical. Or as Stay in Oakland says, stuff happens. Rule MP says, I'm glad the Raiders concentrated on deep backs. I'm not. Rule MP says, the Raiders says, Karen Creature says, I want to donate more after the first. Does part of that go to Forever Oakland? Not at this point. I thought I heard Grizz mention something about that. I said I wanted to donate 10% of mine to that. But, I bluntly need this. This is what I do, okay? And, I'm just being honest. I'm in a situation where the people that I'm helping, they have their money and everything. But this is my company. And I've had clients and everything. And so this is my administration. I have to pay, I have to eat and everything else. That's where I sit. If the person doesn't understand that, I am sorry. Well, no, I'm not. I'm not sorry. I'm not. This is what I've spent a long time building and getting clients. And so I am not in a position to, to do anything where I wind up just, being a vessel and getting, and not being able to earn any kind of income at all. And given, look, if this goes out, when this goes out, rather, every time I do something, according to Social Board, one of my combination videos, tweets, and content is valued at $1,044. So the organization's already getting a massive gift at all. So it's, for me to just say, hey, can you donate $2 or $20? That's nothing. Considering the value, the actual market value of what I put out. I mean, I've got a Twitter account. I've got one Twitter account that has 169,000 followers. But guess what, folks? I run 300 of them. And they're all interconnected. When this goes out, it's sent out 50 times automatically. Just the one. Every time I make a video that supports what's done, that's sent out 50 times. That's just for the tweets. That doesn't include the 24 Facebook pages or anything else. So it's not too much for me to ask for just, have investors. Just for a little bit. All right? And not only that, every time I put out something, because of the way media is ran, I crowd out the negatives regarding the lawsuit. And that's the way I designed it. So that's another benefit that the organizations get. Okay? But there are people out there, you know who you are, okay, who know that I'm in that need, and yet what I'm tired of in my life, and I'm just saying this straight out, is I give a benefit to a lot of people who don't return anything to assist me when I need the help. So I'm calling it out. And I don't care how that sounds, that is only right. What I do has a value. Some of you out there know clients that can benefit from it, but you don't make that call. On the flip side, if you ask me to help you, I am there. No one can deny I have never not done one of these. Ever. Ever. Okay? When I do that, and I've done it multiple times, it's for the effort. So what little I ask for should not be an issue to anybody. Not considering the value of what I put out on the market. There you go. All right. So, all right. Let's see here. Well, it's not, Karen, it's not just the info, okay? It's, and look, it's not just this YouTube channel. This YouTube channel goes to my Zenny62 blog. It goes to Zenny62 on Twitter. It goes to 50 of my Twitter accounts at once. I have a system that's interconnected. It has a system of retweets. It goes to 24 Facebook pages. It's a whole ecosystem that I built to run in a coordinated fashion. It's not just this. This is only one part of what you see. But it explains why. I mean, I can turn around and multiple tweet anytime I want to, or I can release it. It's a whole system that I'm talking about that the organization benefits from, that my clients have benefited from, that I've had in some cases for 10 years. And I'm talking about big companies that employed in some cases 10 million people. So I happen to be a little point where, hey, you know what? I'm trying to hunt for new clients, getting feelers, but I cannot afford to continue to do things on the come. I've done a lot for politicians when I go and cover something for a politician or anybody else. You have to remember something, that news has never been done where someone wasn't paying someone to do it. This idea that it's charity and all this is BS. If you want it done, you can't just assume that the person is out there and they're just like some sort of priest that gets paid for nothing. Everybody has to eat. They have to have a roof over their head and everything else. Or they have the position where they can't do it anymore and everybody else suffers from that. Okay? That's just a fact. So, okay. So, Rick Rice says, okay, right. And so, John Mark says, appreciate what you do. You're a very dedicated person, hardworking man. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that, okay? Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm only telling it like it is. There's this, people have a weird idea of media that is just sort of out there, and I don't know where this came from, but people you can't just do it. Yeah, it's not just the information, it's also coding. It's also search engine optimization. These are little things like the title of this that you don't see. Like when I helped Forever Oakland, and I don't know if Russ is paying attention here, but he should be. When I helped that effort, those videos that I make that Grizz may want to be titled a certain way. I say title it this way so that it gains higher in search, so that it gains more followers. All this is a science that I bring to the table here. Because a lot of you aren't educated in search engine optimization or content marketing or content development or crowd or what's called growth hacking. You have no idea what goes into this. But it's a science that people pay for. And it should not be thought of as free. It is just as much a donation as anything else. So the huge donation that I give, like the several thousands of dollars overall in terms of output of content, to ask for a little bit, like $5 here, $2 there, $20, $30 here, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm sorry, there's nothing wrong with that. So yeah. All right. And Cam Robinson still should have been drafted by the Raiders at 24, and don't forget it. Period. Okay? Straight out, period. Period. All right, where are we? Everybody went quiet. Well, such is life. Let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys and their problems. Which would you? I mean, look at what happened with Lucky. What's that Lucky guy, the wide receiver guy, right? Oh man, and well, Raider Oakland says time is money. Yeah, time is money. But it's not just the time; it's the coding and it's the effort and it's everything else. I mean, it's if you go like right now, if you were to go to Google, okay, and you typed quote SF Bay Area events unquote in quotes, okay, go to Google and do that. All right. Yeah, Reggie did make a mistake. Go to Google and do that when you have a chance. Type SF Bay Area events using the quotes, okay, and then scroll down and see what you get. You're gonna get something called SF Bay Area Events Calendar. That's my page, okay? But if you scroll down, you'll probably see my face, SF Bay Area Events. Let me show you what I'm talking about here, okay? Look at this. All right? This is page 1 of a search, SF Bay Area Events, okay? Look at that. This is all, that's my page on my Oakland News Online blog. Says, see that? There's my name, Zinni Abraham. There's my face again, and there's another tweet. Both from what? Okay, now, you see all that, right? Let's go up. Remember, this is Google. Let's click on videos over here. I just want to show you this real quick. Videos, more. Videos. Here's videos. Now, what do we have? Oh, there I am. And there I am again. And there I am. Oh, and there I am again. And, ooh, there I am again. And there I am again. I did this for Ray Bobbitt. And there I am again. And again. And again. And again. Oh, my Lord. Let's check on page 2. There I am again. And again. And again. And again. And again. And again. And again. Oh, wine. And again. And again. And again. Oh, my God. And again. Did that for Alan Michon. What about page 3? Holy, holy, there I am again. And again, and again, and again, and again. And again, and again, and again, and again, and again. Are you getting the picture? Okay, that's what I do for clients. I did that to prove a point. I could take anybody's videos or pictures and take over a keyword search if I wanted to, because I know how to. You show anybody else, you show me anybody else that has done that. Are you getting the picture now? Okay. So it's called takeover. All right? And that's what I can do with the systems I've developed. All right. Now, okay. Oh, Joseph Mark says, "What's your overhead? How much should you be charging to cover your overhead and make a profit?" Um, what I my general strategy is such that I charge a client 2,000 or 3,000 per month, but then they get an unlimited number of items of content. By contrast, most people charge per post. If a standard agency, if they assume you had the number of blogs that I do and Twitter and every other and YouTube channels and everything else, assuming that, they would charge about $20,000 per month for what I do for a fraction of that. So, for one person. So I've created a system where I can get that done at a fraction of the cost. And the reason why is because you have a number of people that we have to pay other people, and then they have to develop it, and then you're paying for their office overhead and everything else. So, but also you're paying for the fact that, in my case, I set a target on a per month basis, and I don't stop until that target is achieved. I do not stop until that target is achieved. It's like building, for me, it's building code, right? Building a mathematical code, and I don't stop until it's achieved. And I have had amazing success at this. What buttresses it is I have to, since be Chivku and bottle wash, I don't have that person that's out selling for me to get those clients and reel them in. Because a lot of people don't understand this until you write something bad about them. All right? I mean, and I don't want to go too far off from this talk. I'm going to keep talking about the Raiders out of respect but, a point was touched on, and I do sense that under the surface here there is this kind of discomfort among some, saying, well, hey, how come we're investing in him, we have this Forever Oakland thing? And I don't want that to be that. I want it to be understood about what's happening here, all right, and where this came along. So they paid a person, I think, $5,000 to do their press conference. And that person I personally know and love a great deal, but the simple fact of the matter is they only got that for the press conference. They didn't get anything else. In other words, they got no other material to continue the production of media to keep the noise going except me. And I'm not getting paid for that. I know how to do press conferences. I've done them. I've done a press conference here in Oakland. I was 2,924 miles away, and I set up the press conference at City Hall within 2 hours from zero to finish. And I did that for the Oakland Green Party in 2010. So, 2012. So my point is that it's a matter of understanding what truly goes into putting this together. That's all I'm saying. And the benefit that it's done in terms of keeping the word out and keeping this going. And also generating, you have to remember, as much as I talk about that, I've also helped generate donors for Forever Oakland. I'm very proud of that. As to how much, I don't know, and I don't care. I'm not keeping track. I think that's a bad thing to do. As long as people express that they're happy, that's the issue. But I gotta eat and keep a roof over my head. Bingo. So there you go. All right. Okay. We got Karen says, how do I know more about schemes for offense and defense? Let's see here. I will... Schemes for offense and defense. Wait a minute, where we are. Not sure about that. There. Let's see here. So Raider Oakland, I hope I answered your question about overhead. And so just generally what I charge per month. And generally that's still, considering what the proposed value is, that's a benefit. All right. Okay. All right, now we've got, where are we? It's 12:14, which would normally be 3:14. Golly, is that right? It'll be 3:14 back east. There's still 34 watching. All right. Now, I'm going to check on something because we've got. Okay. Let's see here. I'm going to check on something regarding Mr. Conley in that situation. And so, wait a minute. Oh, thanks for that. I'm happy with Zinni. It's 21st Century News. Hey, thanks a lot. I appreciate that. Yeah. Alaska, it's 11:14 p.m. Yeah, it's 11:14 here. Actually, it says 12:15 a.m. Unless I'm Alaska, you're on Alaska time. So you're behind. You're behind by an hour. I didn't realize that. I always assumed that Alaska was on West Coast time. Boy, what a dunderhead. I should realize that by the way Alaska falls on the map, right? Kind of juts out there, right? Hey, how's the weather in Alaska, Joshua? So, Alaska time zone. How's the weather in Alaska? So, okay. I'm going to check something. Let's see. You're trying to go to the West Coast. Interesting. I'm going to check something. Speaking of this issue with Mr. Conley. 75 degrees in Alaska? Jeez Louise. 75 degrees in Alaska. Hold on a second. Gareon Conley. Let's see here. Unenforceable rule may become relevant to Gareon Conley's contract. This comes from Pro Football Talk. Pro Football Talk says, and this date is today. Well, Monday. It's not today. Okay? It says, with Raiders' first-round cornerback Gareon Conley unsigned is still under investigation for that deed. The team and the players have a problem. How do they work out a deal with a cloud still lingering that could result in Conley being prosecuted and possibly convicted? And the answer is simple. As one league source with extensive experience negotiating contracts explained it recently, teams drafting players who present unusual circumstances will often communicate with the player's agent before the pick is made, making a verbal request for eventual contractual protections. Although any such terms will be both unenforceable and a violation of the labor deal, it happens. And both teams and agents respect these wink and nod arrangements. So someone asked if this was a conditional, all right? So there you go. If the Raiders asked Conley, while on the clock, or possibly before being on the clock, whether Conley would agree to certain terms if the charges remain unresolved when camp opens, and if Conley agreed, through his agent of course, Conley's camp should honor the commitment. If the Raiders made no such requests, and it's highly unlikely they would not, then the team made Conley the 24th pick in the draft with no strings attached. He should get every penny and every term that he would have gotten regardless of the unresolved criminal case. If the Raiders did that, they're fools. I'm just saying, that sets up the kind of situation the Raiders were known for in the past. Where you get this dead money contract position. To date, we've been unable to determine whether the Raiders made any special requests, this is Pro Football Talk, or whether Conley's agents agreed. The only thing left is to work something out in accordance with what was or wasn't promised on the first night of the NFL draft. So there you go, folks. All right? So there you are. Police update the Gareon Conley case. This comes from 24/7 Sports. And this date is just 11 hours ago. And it says that it seems as though the Gareon Conley case may not have a decision anytime soon. I'm trying to scroll down here. And it says that, this popped up first in the Las Vegas Review Journal. And that, well, it didn't pop up first. It simply was that the Review Journal was quoting what was told to us at the draft by McKinsey and Mark Bedane, was that they were certain, they being the Raiders, that the Conley case will be cleared up by now. And yeah, we are here, okay? And so detectives have had meetings with the prosecutor's office, said Sergeant Jennifer Tierra, a public information officer with the Cleveland Division of Police. They would still classify it as being under investigation. No official charges have been filed. They haven't ruled it as closed.
My beard's a free
The
spirit.
official statement is it still remains under investigation. So there you are, okay? So there's been no charges, but Conley also hasn't been cleared and the case hasn't been ruled closed. Sounds like it's nowhere close to getting an answer. And you know what, folks? The way this is going, I'm telling you, absent some unusual arrangement, I don't think you're going to see this resolved by the start of the NFL season. If they're taking this long, they are obviously not allowing themselves to be rushed by the business of pro football. And that's bad. So, right now, as far as I'm concerned, this whole situation is a DEFCON 3. That's where it's at. Okay? So there we go. All right? So anyway. Let's see here. Raider says, maybe you need some advice on how to advertise your services and qualifications. Is that on your blog website? Oh, yeah, actually it is there. But it's not. It's just a matter of meeting a team of people. You know, I was saying to someone before, you know, that's where, like, for example, when Breacher Report started off just across the bay here, it was a group. I have Mike Lowry and Richard Heisch on, as you know, we're supposed to get together and talk. It's hard to do anything alone. And people like to sit back and think that things have just happened, but they don't. That's a lot of work and a lot of effort. And part of that work and effort is you have one person that goes out and reels in the clients. You have one person that goes out and reels in the fish, another person that basically cooks the fish and serves it, and another person that makes sure that, you know, the pots and the pans are clean and all that stuff, okay? So that's where you're at, all right? So, you know, that answers it, all right? So, yeah, so anyway, Rick Rice says they haven't signed the quarterback either yet. What do I think of the reasoning behind not signing Smith? I think the reasoning behind not signing Smith has a lot to do with his competition. It has a lot to do with Alex Smith turning around and saying, I want the money that Mr. Carr has. I am worth more than Mr. Carr. Mr. Carr has done less than the league. And the Chiefs undoubtedly saying, well, that's their situation. This is our situation. And that's all you need for a rift, okay? Let me see. In fact, you mentioned that. Let me see something, all right? And so, let me see something here. Hold on a second. Chiefs. I'm checking something. Let's see here. He signed a 4-year extension worth $68 million, August of 2014. Talking about Alex Smith with the Chiefs. Okay. Now, I don't know that he's due to get base in C17. He gets $10 million base in 17 and then $14.8 million in 18. I don't know if there's a rider for him. Let me see here. Let's see here. Mahomes was signed by Lee Steinberg. Lee Steinberg tweeted that out. That was done. Okay. That was done. But they haven't released, let's see here, 16.4 million. But there's no sign that they want to take another look at Alex Smith's contract. And there's no sign that Smith is saber rattling on it because he's tied in. So there that is. But so there that is. So I stand corrected as far as Smith wanting a new deal. It doesn't seem like he wants a new deal yet. I can't be surprised. Well, wait, let me check on that. I'm gonna make some calls on that myself. I know exactly who to call would give me the background information on that. So let me check. I'll check on that. Now, let's see here. You guys were talking about, let's see here. Yeah. So there you go there. Now, as far as now, I wasn't talking about Obi. I was talking about the Smith situation with respect to the fact that the Chiefs had signed Mahomes. And also, you guys were talking about one thing. To be honest, you all were tweeting about something. I wasn't following that. I think that's what the situation was. You all had your own little side conversation going. I had my little rant I was on. And so it kind of went like that. That's what happened, all right? So now I got brought back home. I was like, okay, here I am back home. And we're talking about this. And for a while, you all were talking about Alex Smith's situation. Now, Patrick Mahomes was signed by Lee Steinberg, my friend who's his agent. But generally, when you have a situation like that, and you have a shakeup in the pay structure for quarterbacks because of a large signing like the one that Derek Carr had, there's always some discussion about what a veteran like an Alex Smith can engineer. Is there something in his contract where he can forego the final year, that sort of thing? That's what I was trying to find out. And I can't get it with the news that's there. I need to dig a little bit more. That's what I was getting at. So anyway, now as far as Obi, let's see. Whoops, excuse me. I want to find out some details that are bothering me all of a sudden. Okay, and let's see here. Oh, let's see here. We got sign. Let's see here. I don't know what Obi's problem is. Checking that is not going to do it. Let me check behind the scenes here. There. Because that was old news. That was May 26th. Alright. Let's see here. Okay. Don't quite know what Obi's issue is. Let me see here. I'm trying to find out. Let's see here. 11th hour. 11th hour. Trying to find what the issue is. You know what? I'm going to take a guess on what the problem with Obi is. And I believe, hold on a second. I'm gonna issue what I believe may be, is a controversial take. Okay? And it is this. You've got this. You've got both. Okay. You've got Gareon Conley competing for jobs. with Obi, right? So it doesn't make sense. And this is the situation. It doesn't make sense, okay? Here's what it is. Here's what I think it is, Rick Rice, okay? It doesn't make sense to sign Obi. Excuse me. It doesn't make sense from Obi's agent's perspective to agree to a contract if they don't know that Conley's going to be around. Because if Conley happens to fall by the wayside, that puts Obi in a better negotiating position as opposed to what the base structure looks like, which is Conley signed first, highest pick. He gets top billing, top signing, then Obi, right? That's the logical situation. But right now, because of Conley's unique issues, that's not there. So Obi's agent is saying, you know what, we're going to hold you out. We're not going to let the Raiders set the standard on us when we think we can get you more money because they screwed around and got that guy with that situation, and that situation isn't going to clear itself. We want to see how badly they want you. That's what's going on. Does that make sense? Okay? Hey, good night, Ruben. Good night. I'll see you good night, all right? And so Raider Oakland says, Raiders waiting until the last minute to make any big decisions. But I think also it's not just the Raiders. I think that you've got some gamesmanship going on, gamespersonship, if you like, going on between Obi's agent and the Raiders. That's certainly how I would play it. If I knew I had a guy with the kind of raw athleticism he has, that arguably I could have drafted, and here we go again, I could have drafted Cam Robinson, still got my Obi, and I've been cool. All right? As yet another example of one of the lower round talented DBs. So Rick Rice says, but they have first and second round rookie max contracts through. Right, Zenny. But the whole point is that it's not the max, it's the signing bonuses you have to pay attention to. Remember, Jody Bosa made this issue of getting his signing bonus up front. He was a first-round pick for the Chargers. Conley, arguably, let's put the other argument of Conley versus Robinson to the side for a moment and stick with the fact that, yes, Conley was one of the top 15 players in the draft, without question. That was where he was originally based. Does he get that? Do you still give him money commensurate with where he was before this issue? Okay? Because if he gets that, he sets the tone for Obi. But he's not signed. And yet they're supposed to compete for starting positions. That's what's going on. Which makes this makes the fact that they're both out creates a sad domino effect that impacts the ability to field a top flight defensive secondary for the start of the season. Because you want to go into a situation like Eric Wright, Carlton Williamson, Ronnie Lott, the Niners defenders. All rookies that started, right? But there were no holdouts. They all came in. They all learned as a group. They played incredibly well as a group. And they marched the Niners to the Super Bowl. That's the ideal situation you want when you're talking about rookies. Raider Oakland says, they say Conley could be next Charles Woodson. Now they're getting him cheaper because there's legal issues, leverage. Right, but that also affects Obi. So you're going to make Obi suffer for that? Right? Raider Oakland, Rick Wright says, do you think Bosa holding out last year will start a new trend of more rookies holding out? I think it'll start a new trend. It's not so much rookies holding out, but the question is why. And I think it's a great question, Rick Rice. I think it's an awesome question. all right, they were trying to get Bosa in a situation where he was essentially spreading out his signing bonus, and he said, no way, I want it all up front. And he's right to ask for that. 831 Scott says, if you have a mean pass rush, you can get away with just decent quarters and safeties. I was disappointed the Raiders' lack of QB pressure last year killed them. Zinni right be right scheme. Yeah, that's all I'm saying, 831 Scott, and thanks for pointing that out. I'm not, again, the whole point is that of all the positions in the draft, DB was the deepest. In fact, I have a statistic about that I have to go around and dig out and find. But in terms of the number of DBs versus players by position, let me go back and get that because it'll help frame this conversation. Okay, players by position. 2017 NFL draft. Okay. We had, let's see here, picks by position. And we had, let's see here, quarterbacks. They don't have it listed like I want. It's a bit too convoluted. Let's see here. Top 20. Let's see here. Player rankings. Well, let me do something here in terms of player rankings, all right? In terms of the big board. The top 400, all right? If you just take a look. All right, here, listen to this, okay? I'm just going to read off to you the top 20 players in the 2017 NFL Draft. One Miles Jarrett, Texas A&M, defensive end, edge rusher. Solomon Thomas, Stanford, edge rusher. Then we had Jamal Adams, remember him? Safety, LSU. Malik Hooker, Ohio State, safety. This is starting to add up real quick, okay? We know about Leonard Fournette, running back. Marshawn Lattimore, Ohio State, cornerback. Derek Burnett, edge rusher, Tennessee. So we had 3 of the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We only had one offensive player. All the rest were defense, and of that, we had 2 safeties and a cornerback. We had 3 of them. We had 3 of them DBs. Okay, and as we go down further, we've got, at one point we have here, listen to this, we got Tre'Davious White, cornerback, Deshaun Kaiser, quarterback, Marion Humphrey, Alabama, cornerback, Chidobe Uwizale, Colorado, cornerback. Then we got Lawson, Walker, and Watt, all edge rushers. Then we have Watson, the safety. This is dominated by edge rushers. The top players are dominated by edge rushers and DBs. I mean, this list is crazy. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. No, you don't have a bunch of offensive tackles among the top ones. In fact, as I go down here, when I get to tackle, offensive tackle, I get to Gabriel Utah. He's 22. Ryan Rimzik was 19 of Wisconsin. And I disagree that he should be that high. And then they had Cam Robinson at 35th. And a lot of Cam Robinson's reason why he dropped to 35 was because of that marijuana issue that was really a nothing burger, as they say. As the Trump administration likes to say. Or as Trump Jr. likes to say, a nothing burger, right? So there you go. Now, we had 831 Scott says, if you have me, oh yeah, I got that. Jordan Yancey says, hey Zinni, do you talk to Dr. Death? Yeah, I do. I need to call him. Rick Rice says, I agree. Our defense is going to come down to the success of Merrill Edwards and Vanderdoss. Raider Oakland says, Raiders running the franchise like a small market team like Green Bay. Hint, hint, Reggie McKenzie. Yep, it's a great observation. 831 Scott says, I know they have the talent on that roster. Why aren't they getting to the quarterback? And that's scheme. That really comes back to scheme. That comes back to two gapping, that comes back to, I mean, you could arguably say that they are perhaps maybe placing a bit of a too much of a premium on calling stunts that create one-on-one situations and formations that create one-on-one situations for Khalil Mack, and as opposed to giving the defense something to think about on the other side of the line. In other words, away from Mack. In other words, what I mean by that is, pinch tackles or overload fronts, right? So there are a lot of reasons. I'll go to another reason. I'll be a bit more sinister in my statement. I'm questioning the Raiders' process of analyzing what the offense does, the opponent's offense does, and its defense response. That may be the biggest issue of all. The right tool for the right job at the right time. Well, think of it this way: the right scheme for the right outcome at the right time. I haven't analyzed all 22 tapes to determine that, but it might be fun to do so. In fact, Pro Football Focus needs a competitor. Anybody want to play? Analyze the crap out of this stuff. Yeah. Put the numbers and the formulas to it. Okay, I might do that. Anyway, all right. Raider Oakland says Raiders don't want to pay their first round picks big money with the signing bonuses. There's a pattern, which could come back to bite them in this case. But again, where the Raiders are with Gareon Conley is setting up this domino effect that's just not cool. It really is. Right there, guys, do it, Zinnia. That would be fun. I will. And I also ask, hey, invest. help me. Help us get there. Definitely. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, whoops, didn't want to do that. Meant to do it the other way. Let's see here. There we go. Cool. And breaking down NFL films with Zenny. Yeah. Please. Like I said, I don't care if it's $5, That's $5 that wasn't there before. That's a share that I have to issue that I didn't have to issue before. Awesome. Or two. But the whole point is this. But yeah, Pro Football Focus needs a competitor. And Raider Oakland says NFL Game Pass. Yeah, I like NFL Game Pass. I like the All-22. What I'm saying is analyzing. I mean, actually putting formulas. One thing I don't like about Pro Football Focus is a lot of their analysis is scheme devoid. In other words, they'll say, yeah, it's a good idea, Rick Rice, and I'll do that. I've done that before, and I'll do that. Because a lot of Pro Football Focus analysis is scheme devoid. And what I mean by that is, they'll say, for example, the Rams acquired this offensive tackle from the Cleveland Browns, and they were reciting how, I think with the Browns, he had had something like 5.1 yards rushing on his side of the ball. But when I heard that, my question was, okay, well, when they rushed to his side of the ball, run the ball, was it with the aid of a tight end? Was it on a running down, right? Tendencies are a big deal. But to just say that the offensive tackle was present. Oh, and then by the way, here's the other question. Was most of that the product of one huge run in that direction? You see how sloppy that gets? But then you have people quoting this stuff, but they don't really understand why it's relevant. If you had a running back that had an 80-yard run, okay, to that side of the ball, and the team maybe rushed, what, 10 times to that side, and they gained, let's say, 0, 0, 0, well, yeah, all right, but then they had this 180-yarder, that's going to affect the average for everything else. And if that offensive tackle happens to be over there, it's going to make him look pretty good. Oh, yeah, he got 0, 0, 0, 0, then boom, 80 yards, touchdown the first 10 tries. Because he didn't get a negative yardage result, right? So that's why it's important to have this analysis in the appropriate scheme context, scheme down in distance. So Karen Christian says, you should do videos on breaking down schemes using Chalk Talk. I would really love to know more. Okay, I'll work on that, because I've done that in the past. And those have been some of the more popular videos I've done. Rick Rice says, do you realize how much data that is to collect? You would need like 16 zinnies. Pay the man! As Dion says, yeah, pay the man! Hey, look, I don't care. Again, I don't care if it's a cup of coffee or, the cost of a deep dish pizza. Great. Actually, even better, the cost of a deep dish pizza. Or, Chinese food. The whole point is, exactly. In fact, that gives me an idea of something I will do tomorrow. I will break that down. Karen says, I mean once in a while. We're like once a year. I thought you'd be like once a week, not like once every blue moon. Which is what? There's what? 2 blue moons a year, right? Yeah. I've done a lot of those. So, how often, Karen? Give me a number. Don't say every blue moon either. Oh, here it comes. I think I just put myself into that one. I'm waiting with bated breath for the answer. It's like, oh my gosh. And Karen says, as much as you're willing to do, or we can clone you. Thank you. Is that, hey, that's great. Would you, would you invest $1? $2? That'd be great. How about, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, the other way that you can assist if you can't do that is just to simply take this and put it on Facebook, because it does run ads against it, but the problem that I have is that YouTube is doing some weird stuff there where I think that they're not promoting videos like they should, probably as a way to save money in terms of ad payments. But if you put this on YouTube, if you put this on your Facebook page as a link, that helps a great deal. So 831 Scott says the Raiders defense really let them down last year. That's why Carr had to drive them down field at the end of the game so many times last year. That's why they drafted the way they did, and toward what would seem to be the construction of a power running game. Absolutely. I do wonder, though, this whole thing about Obi has now got me going a great deal. So, let's see here. Let me do a little bit more tweeting out here. Hey, it's 12:48 a.m. I better think about going to bed. NFL on Pinterest. There we go. I put that link on Pinterest there. Okay, and then one more tweet. Let's live stream and then Vegas. How about I tweet Las Vegas? A little something out there for the Vegas people. There we go. Rick Rice says, our defense is super young. I would expect a lot of the same from last year. Let me see something here. Let's check the Raiders roster. If the Raiders don't sign Obi and Gareon, we've got a problem. We've got a major problem. Raiders roster. Raiders roster. Oakland Raiders player roster. Let's see here. Let's see. We've got 25, 23. I'm gonna measure what the average age is. Let's see what we have in the secondary here. We've got our quarterback is 25 years old. We've got a 26-year-old cornerback. That's we've got a let's see here, linebacker, defensive end, 26. Cornerback is 25. Another cornerback, 24 years old. Let's see here. We do have a young team so far. Cornerback, 22. Let's see here. Outside linebacker, 25. Safety, Carl Joseph's 23. Which people tend to forget about Carl Joseph, don't they? Like, you all talking about Obi and Conley like Carl Joseph doesn't exist. Just letting you know, okay? You've got, let's see here. Dexter McDonald's 25. You've got, all this talk here. Sean Smith is 30. He's the outlier. So look, with the exception of Sean Smith at 30, the Raiders have a young defense. And that's not including our rookies, okay? So, I mean, in terms of the secondary. All right? So, let's see here. And we've got Nathan Scott says, I hope not, Rick. You might be right. Rick Rice was saying about the defense being super young. He says a lot of the same from last year. Rick Rice says, sign O.J. Simpson to play linebacker. 831 Scott says, laugh out loud, he's big enough now. Yeah, he is, isn't he? Rick Rice says, yeah, I'm sure he lost a step or two. I wouldn't front load his deal. I'm not talking about O.J. You know, the simple fact that people have this idea that O.J. can play at 70 is testament to all the myths we have about the black man as a super athlete. As opposed to just a 70-year-old guy, right? You know? Wow. This never ceases to amaze me. And see here is 831 Scott says, yeah, I'm sure he could still run over us like he did at luggage in the airport. Well, yeah, but don't forget that time in Airport, the movie, where he was in the wheelchair and Leslie Nielsen gave him a pat on the back and he went flying over the... Oh boy, oh boy. That was funny. Okay, folks, it's almost 4 o'clock in the morning Eastern. Because it's almost 1 o'clock now. And this has been a great show, even if none of you dropped an investment. I'm going to say invest, because I don't think. So anyway, Raider Oakland says, you need interns on cheap labor to help with your workload. Yeah. Delegate the easiest work for your help. Upgrade your videos to be more like mojo.com. Learn a lot from Raiders, about Raiders from your videos. Yeah, here's the thing. Some people I won't mention. First of all, my style is vlogging. And what I don't like doing is producing material based on somebody else's clips, because that becomes a copyright violation and I wind up giving money to the NFL that I need. Okay? And there are some other organizations that have a field day using the clips from others, and I know they get copyright violations because they did it to me a couple of times. I'm sorry. Rick Rice says, haha, you said it, Zenny. You don't hear about anybody talking about the way Phil Simms hopping back in the league. Right. Yeah. So, but, you know, the point that I'm making is that I'm not gonna copy that at all, because it's too much copyright trouble and it costs too much money, and ultimately it can cost you your channel. And I think Raider Central has gotten away. Well, didn't mean to say that, but yeah, they gotten away with doing it. How, I don't know, but they have. I don't want to. I don't want to go in that direction. I vlog, so when you all come on here, you come and you hear my take. You either agree with it or not. You have your own ideas, and that's great. And we have guests on and everything else. But I don't want to rest my channel on somebody else's product. I think that doesn't make me feel good. So Rick Rice says, yeah, I don't know how he gets away with it either. No, I'm sure he's a great person. I'm not saying that. I'm not casting personal judgment. I'm talking about what's allowed within YouTube rules. The only way that could happen is if that person has no problem giving up revenue to the NFL. I know this channel called NFL World. At least it was. Let me see. NFL World they would upload NFL Network clips. NFL World on YouTube. Okay. And I'm thinking, how do I thought maybe there was some channel that was affiliated with the NFL Network. Yeah, here it is. A channel dedicated to making quality NFL content. And what they have here is nothing but clips from the NFL Network. They say they're popular uploads and videos, and they have a sit down with Seattle Richard Sherman. They've got all of these clips from the NFL Network, and the only way this is allowed is if the NFL... These are clearly NFL Network clips, and that's all these are. That's all these are. And it's called NFL World. It's not clear that it's even a partner channel. If I look at one of these videos as I'm doing now for NFL World, an ad comes up in front of it, okay? And this money has got to go to the NFL Network. There's no two ways about it. It can't go to anybody else other than the NFL Network. And it could be a number of different channel sites that are just posting NFL Network clips in a way to make money for the NFL Network. Okay? But they're not saying they're NFL Network. They have NFL World. Again, all over the place. So, and there's nothing creative about this. They're using somebody else's content. Okay? They're using somebody else's content, and that's the NFL Network. And I'm not going to do that. I am just not going to do that. They might be a whitelisted channel or whatever. I think this is awful. I think this is really just beyond the pale. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do it. So, Raider Oakland says, you're right, original content's where it's at. And so Raider Oakland says, Total Post Sport uses pictures of a dude with a deep voice. And Rick Rice says, have you guys heard of Raider Fan Radio? It's on YouTube, but there's no video, only audio. The show is really good, but nobody knows about it. Let me try and find that. I haven't heard about it yet. I know there was a show like that before. It was wasn't Raider Fan Network. It was something like that, and they were using. Oh yeah, I've been on there. What am I talking about? Because I've been on their shows. Raider Fan Network, Raider Fan Radio. I've been on their shows, and so they were a couple of guys in L.A., if memory serves, that were trying to make a go of and ask me for advice, if I recall, and I just subscribed to them. It's a podcast brought to you by Sonny and Murph, a podcast by fans for fans. So no, actually, you know what? This is not. I stand corrected. I haven't seen these guys before. I just subscribed. So I just became their largest subscriber. But they use the same. And I see what you're talking about here. If I click this to the video, it's 1 hour. It's pretty long, and it's just the radio, and it gets 619 views, and it says draft picks. I see. Here's what I'm talking. There's a lot of problems with their search engine optimization. In other words, how they title and tag their videos, which is why they have like 19 views here. And this is a lot of work for little output, in terms of the time that they spend talking about the Raiders versus the number of views they get here. And it's also clear that they have 14 subscribers, and so their issues have to do with SEO, whereas my issues have to do with somebody at YouTube placing a lot of my content in restricted mode, which I've been battling against. My issues with YouTube are political. I'm telling you, they're political, and I have to try to get around them all the time. But but on the case of Godfather, he has 215 views already, and I know more are coming. And I think it's going to be a very successful night for his show. So we've got Rick Rice. Okay, Rick Rice says, they actually sent me a brand new Rich Gannon jersey from winning one of their contests. Coolest dudes, right up there with my boy Zinni. Hey, thank you, Rick Rice. I appreciate that. Hey, maybe I should contest like that. Raider Oakland says, well, like the other political subjects you cover that involve the Raiders, far more interesting education of the people. Rick Rice says, they only come out with an episode like once a week. Yeah, they're not consistent. You have to be consistent in order to build up a base. And they're starting off at a place in YouTube where YouTube is making it impossible for them where they're at to generate any money through ads, because they only have 14 subscribers. You need 10,000, and I have 35,000. YouTube has a new rule where if you're under 10,000 subscribers, you don't get to become a partner, which means you don't get to have ads put up against your videos. So that's where they're at, and they're just producing podcasts, and there's nothing in that video for the YouTube algorithm to grab hold of and react to, like, images and audio versus the image. The YouTube algorithm is a lot, and the coding is a lot more sensitive than you might realize. It's a lot more advanced than you might realize. So, Karen, let's see here. Karen Christian says, how about drawing the chalk talk or using computer or paper to avoid copyright infringement? Oh, as far as the chalk talk is concerned, yeah, I can use like 3 seconds of material or anything as long as I'm not using the music and I'm describing the action. And I have videos where I've done that. With, for example, Terrell Pryor, when he was at quarterback, I analyzed his 93-yard run for a touchdown. Tim Tebow, Mike Vick, I have a number of videos where I've done that in the recent past. I need to go back to that, and I think I'll go back to that as soon as tomorrow. But, yeah, because it's what I'm good at. It's what I like and what I believe I'm good at. How's that? Okay? So, and so 831 Scott says, I love Rich Gannon. He was a great Raider quarterback. He almost got them a ring. Rick Rice says, I don't think they do it to make money, but because they love the Raiders and talking about them. Yeah. I mean, that's not what they do to make money. They do other things. This is the cornerstone of my business, and of course it's going to have to change the way things are going unless I'm not able to get back on the horse again with clients and everything. I've got a lot of phone calls to make later today. Rick Rice says, I don't think they do. Yeah, I got that one. Rick Rice says, yeah, 831 Scott, if the center just didn't go off to Mexico the night before the Super Bowl and get hammered. Talking about Barrett Robinson. Wow. That was something else. Barrett Robinson. Boy, oh boy. All right, folks. You know what? It's 1:04 in the morning. This is the latest I've been up for a live stream. This is pretty good. And this live stream was 1 hour and 30 minutes, I guess. I lost track of time. And you guys didn't tell me to shut up or anything. Thank you. Yeah, we've had, oh, excuse me, 2 hours and 9 minutes. That's long. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's... Wait, this is funny. What'd you say about Robinson? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Let's see here. This is funny stuff. Funny stuff. Funny stuff. What did he say? Yeah, that sucked. Robinson's career is over. Mr. Reyes says, any idea where the NFL will go next internationally? Yeah, London. Rick Rice says, I think there are only 5 of us listening right now. No, actually, there's 19. 19. Luckily, I still live you live in Hawaii. Wow. No, there's 19. There's not 5. There's like 19 people. I've got 18, 19, 18. Yeah. So, Joshua says, good job and good night, Barry Robinson. Joshua's just a poor college student. Hey, poor college students can contribute by posting this on Facebook. Can't contribute with money, but you can contribute with social media. You know, share. Share it. Share the love. That's what I say. Share the love. Mr. Raider says, I know London, but what about China, Germany, South America? Oh, I get what you say. China is in its infancy. Germany is a possibility. South America, no. If I had to bet, I would bet on Europe because the NFL has had more exposure in Europe. They have more of an infrastructure in Europe. There are more NFL-ready stadiums in Europe. So Europe is the most logical next destination for NFL International in terms of expansion. So there you go. Oh, you bought shares. Thank you, Joshua. Oh, woo! Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. Hey, thank you. Thank you. Mr. Raider says, I think in Germany, and when I get your PayPal tonight, you'll get the new spreadsheet. I need your, actually, you know what? Your shares, your email is going to come up in PayPal, so I don't have to worry about that. I can take care of that. Thank you. Mr. Raider says, I think in Germany it will be Berlin, Hamburg, or much. Rick Rice says, it'd be huge in Australia. They had a Cal versus University of Hawaii game last year and the place sold out by 70,000 people. Wow! Yep, go Bears! I went to Cal. 831 Scott says, yeah, Robbins, he made a poor career decision. Play in Super Bowl or go to Mexico and get hammered. He made the wrong choice. Yeah, he sure did. Wow. Wasn't he on a antidepressant drug or something like that too? So, Radio Oakland says, edit and cut this live feed down to quick short videos, please, and thank you. You know, that's interesting. Oh, yeah, I can make it different videos here and there. That's a good idea. That's actually a very good idea, yeah. But what I have to do is, rather than edit it down, no, I could do that. Yeah, I can do that. That's a very good idea. That's a very good idea. Bipolar, as LX99333 says. Yeah, bipolar. To me, this is like a radio program. Like I listen to 92.9 The Game, right, in Atlanta, and they have people that go on, you know, through the night and that sort of thing. So it's a lot of fun. All right, folks, it's bedtime. For me, bedtime for Bonzo, as I said, I did say it, yep. Rick Rice informs us. So I'm going to say good night, everyone. All right, good night. And thank you all. Fun times. Fun times. And when you can... dot dot dot. Buy me a cup of coffee. Yeah, hold on a second. I think it's morning. Yeah, it is morning. Yeah. And when you can, buy me a cup of coffee. Thanks all. See you Tuesday. All right. Good night, everybody. Good night, everybody. See ya. And thank you very much. Thank you. Fun times. See you guys. Good night. Good night, Karen. Good night. Good night, everybody. Good night. Good night, Rick Rice. Thank you, sir. Oh, hey, thank you, Rick. I'm glad you enjoy that. That means a lot to me. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. That means a lot to me, Rick. And hey, did you see Godzilla in Hawaii when it was being made? Oh, I love that scene when it came through, Honolulu. I'm gonna fire that movie up somewhere. Anyway, okay. Good night, everybody. Good night. Good night, everybody. Good night, Mate 31 Scott. Good night, everybody. Good night, Joshua. And thank you for being an investor. Thank you, Mate 31 Scott, for all the investment you've done. Thank you, everybody, for everything. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you. I thought Godzilla was a great. Well, we'll talk about that another time. Oh, here we go. What's my other thing? Comic-Con, right? Go figure. All right, I'll see you all later. Good night, everybody. See ya.